We all love a good mystery, and now with the luxury of the internet, we all have the ability to become amateur detectives. In this video we're going to look at some odd mysteries, some that have rumbled on for decades, but still remain unsolved. We can then all pitch in and try and solve them in the comments below. So, from the origins of a mysterious pop song, to the murder victim who is disguised as an ancient mummy. Hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy 5 mysteries that we can all try and solve together. Kathy Hobbs. From an early age, Kathy Hobbs had a premonition that she would not live to be 16. It was a feeling she shared with her friends and family, and it was something that affected her mental health. Although as she entered her teens and her family moved to an apartment complex in Las Vegas, Kathy appeared to have conquered her fears and made several friends and was much happier. However, as her 16th birthday approached, her fears started to resurface, and Kathy once again believed her death was imminent. She began spending all of her time in her bedroom and refused to leave the house. On the morning of her 16th birthday, Kathy woke up, surprised and relieved that she was still alive. After this, she seemed to overcome her anxiety once more and told her family that she now believed her premonitions were unfounded, and she began living a normal teenage life. Kathy became more outgoing and started to spend time with friends again. She also developed an interest in beauty products and wanted to pursue a career as a beautician. She even planned to open her own hair salon called Cat's Cuts. 3 months after her 16th birthday, on the night of July 23, 1987, Kathy was in her room reading a book. At 11 PM, she told her mother Vivian that she was popping to a nearby supermarket to purchase another book. Her mother thought she was meeting up with friends to take the short walk to the shop. However, it appears none of her friends were about that night, so Kathy went to the shop alone. At around 3 AM, Vivian woke up, unaware that her daughter hadn't returned home. She later said when she woke up, it felt like someone had hit her on the head, and afterwards she had a peaceful feeling and felt that it was over, although at the time she did not understand the meaning of what she felt. The next morning, Vivian discovered that her daughter's bed was empty. In a panicked state, she contacted the police and an intense search began. Kathy's disappearance generated a lot of local publicity, and it was soon established that she had made it to the supermarket and purchased a book, although her movements after she left the shop were unknown. 9 days later, a geologist looking for rock crystals discovered Kathy's body in a remote field near Lake Mead, about an hour's drive from Las Vegas. Investigators found tire prints at the scene, which showed that a vehicle had pulled in, turned around and left. 2 rocks found near her body were covered in Kathy's blood, and the coroner determined that she had died from repeated blows to the head. She had also been sexually assaulted. Sadly, it appeared that Kathy's premonition had come true. After her death, Kathy's family discovered letters that she had written to them. The letters were dated 1 month before her 16th birthday, and in them she talked about how much she loved her family and did not want them to be upset about her death. On October 24th, exactly 3 months after Kathy vanished, a message was left on an answer machine at the Las Vegas Police Department. The anonymous caller claimed he had witnessed Kathy's abduction and that he saw 2 men dragging her into a car. He also claimed one of the abductors' names was Robbie and gave the correct location of where Kathy was last seen, along with an accurate description of what she was wearing that night. The caller, who did not leave his name or number, claimed that he did not contact police sooner because he had been out of town for several months. He also gave a license plate number for the abductor's car, but when the police checked it, they found that it didn't exist. Despite repeated appeals, the caller has never come forward or contacted again. To this day, the case remains unsolved, but has become a topic of conversation on internet forums, especially Reddit, with many resonating with Kathy's premonition of dying at an early age. As with all internet discussions, there are differing opinions about what happened to Kathy. It's widely believed that she was a victim of serial killer Michael Lee Lockhart, although because he had already been sentenced to death in 4 other states for other murders, Nevada did not pursue prosecution, and in 1997 he was executed. His lack of conviction sparked outrage and debate online, and it seems the key to solving the case still lies with the anonymous caller, who left that message over 30 years ago. The mystery song. This mystery has endured for over 30 years and has become known as the most mysterious song on the internet. Before we look at the details, you're going to have to listen to it. Nothing particularly unusual about it, just a normal pop song of the 80s era, except nobody knows who sung it, the name of the track, who wrote it, or where it originated from. The song was recorded straight from the radio onto a cassette in around 1984 by a man named Dorius, who recorded it along with several others from a German radio station called NDR. He labelled it Cassette 4, and it was part of a mixtape that included other artists from the time, such as XTC and The Cure. Darius purposefully did not include presentations of radio hosts, so he could get seamless, clean recordings, which is why the air date and the name of the song is unknown. In 1985, Darius created another mixtape consisting of all the unknown songs in his collection, and later digitalized the songs. In 2004, he started uploading them to a website to try and establish the artists. However, the mystery song was never identified. In 2017, Darius' sister Linda posted the song on a news group, and eventually onto other music websites, but still no one came forward. In 2019, a Brazilian teenager named Gabriel da Silva Vieira uploaded the song to YouTube and Reddit, and that is when the fascination in finding the origins of the music went viral. The search was further helped when YouTuber Justin Wang posted an episode of Tales from the Internet discussing the song, and subsequently made 4 further episodes in search of the owner. Since then, many contacts have been made, including Paul Baskerville, the DJ of the show from which the song was likely taped, as well as GEMA, a German government and performance rights organisation. YouTube channel named 80s Forever, who is known for uploading obscure music tracks, was also contacted. On July 10th, 2020, it was ruled out that Baskerville had played the song, and so the mystery rumbles on. In the latest update, Reddit user Flexon Mobile has again contacted NDR archivists for 1983 and 1984 playlists for other DJs, and is currently waiting for a response. If any of you know anything about the song, we would love to hear it in the comments, and if you'd like to dig further into this mystery, then check out the links in the description. The death of Philip Taylor Kramer. Philip Taylor Kramer was the one-time bassist for American rock band Iron Butterfly. Kramer joined the band in 1974 and helped them record the albums Scorching Beauty and Sun and Steel. After leaving the band in 1980, Kramer dropped Philip from his name and went back to college and earned a degree in aerospace engineering, which led to him working for the US Department of Defense. In 1990, at the age of 38, Kramer co-founded Total Multimedia Incorporation with Michael Jackson's brother Randy Jackson to develop data compression techniques for CD-ROMs. In 1992, the firm claimed it had developed the first video compression capable of producing full motion video from a single speed CD-ROM. However, in 1994, the company was reorganized under bankruptcy and hired new leadership, although Kramer continued working there and he co-developed soft video based on fractal compression. He also claimed to be working on a transmission project that would result in faster than light speed communications, a controversial project that, if succeeded, would discredit Albert Einstein's theory. things appeared to be going well. However, on February 12, 1995, Kramer was due to pick up his associate Greg Martini and his wife from the airport and take them back to his home for a relaxing evening with his family. Unexpectedly, Kramer called his wife to tell her the plans had changed, and when he got home, he had a big surprise for her. He then called his old friend and Iron Butterfly bandmate, Ron Bushy. He said, "Bush, it's Taylor. I love you more than life itself," then hung up. After that, he called his wife again and told her, "Whatever happens, I'll always be with you." At 11:59 a.m., Kramer made a 911 call and told the operator, "This is Philip Taylor Kramer. I'm going to kill myself, and I want everyone to know O.J. Simpson is innocent. They did it." That was the last anyone heard of him. Police searches began, but produced nothing, and for more than 4 years, it was as if Philip Taylor Kramer had vanished into thin air. Then on May 29, 1999, Kramer's van was spotted by hikers at the bottom of a ravine in Decker Canyon near Malibu, California. Remains were found inside the vehicle and later identified through dental records as belonging to Kramer. His death was ruled as probable suicide by authorities, although his family refused to believe he would have left his family like that. His wife is quoted as saying he would never, for any reason or under any circumstances, allow himself to completely abandon the family he loves more than life itself. Over the years, Kramer's disappearance and eventual death has been the subject of many online conspiracies, and internet sleuths have tried to get to the bottom of why a successful family man suddenly changed his plans and ended up dead. The case is also featured, amongst others, on high-profile shows such as The Oprah Winfrey Show, America's Most Wanted, and Unsolved Mysteries. It seems no coincidence that in the days before he disappeared, he was working on perfecting a top-secret 30-year formula that would disprove Einstein and change the course of history. The formula was based on a theory that linked faster than light communications, like we said. If successful, it would have been worth billions. Kramer's father said that his son had told him that people were giving him problems, and they wanted what he was doing. Several of them apparently even threatening him. He told his father, "If I ever say I'm going to kill myself, don't you believe it. I'm gonna be needing help." Circleville Letters. In 1976, several Circleville, Ohio residents began receiving strange letters detailing personal information about their lives. Local bus driver Mary Gillespie was accused of having an affair with Gordon Macy, the superintendent of schools. The writer told Mary that they had been observing her house and knew she had children. The letters were postmarked Columbus, Ohio, but had no return address. Initially, Mary kept the letters to herself until her husband Ron also received one. His message was more ominous. It stated that if Ron did not stop his wife's affair, his life would be in danger. 2 weeks later, the writer threatened to go public with the affair allegation and would broadcast it on TVs, CB radios, and billboards. Mary and Ron decided to tell somebody what was happening to them, so they first went to Ron's sister Karen, her husband Paul, and Paul's sister. Mary had a gut feeling that a fellow bus driver, David Longberry, was behind the letters, as she had rebuffed his sexual advances. So they decided that Paul would write a letter to Longberry, telling him they knew it was him and insisting that he stop. The plan appeared to work, and the letters stopped for several weeks. But soon large signs started to appear around the town, claiming that Macy and the Gillespie's 12-year-old daughter were involved in a sexual relationship. Soon Ron was getting up extra early in the morning to drive around town and remove the signs before his daughter spotted them on her way to school. On August 19, 1977, Ron received a phone call from the alleged writer. The call seemed to confirm Ron's suspicions on the identity of the writer, and in a rage, he grabbed his gun and drove off in his pickup truck. A few minutes later, Ron's truck was discovered crashed into a tree, and he was found dead inside. Investigators later revealed that Ron had fired at least one shot from his gun before crashing. Local Sheriff Dwight Radcliffe questioned and eliminated the suspect in the case after he passed a polygraph test and ruled Ron's death an accident, claiming he had lost control and crashed while driving the truck. It was revealed that Ron's blood alcohol level was twice the legal limit. This surprised Ron's family and friends, as he was not a heavy drinker. But residents of Circleville continued to receive letters and suspected that Sheriff Radcliffe had been involved in a cover-up. In a bizarre twist, Mary acknowledged that she was in a relationship with the superintendent, although she claimed it did not start until after the letters were sent. The campaign of harassment against Mary continued, and more signs began appearing along the side of the road on Mary's bus route. On February 7, 1983, Mary decided she'd had enough and stopped her bus and got out to rip one of the signs down. When she did, she discovered a booby trap designed to kill her. The trap had a box which contained a small pistol. If Mary had pulled the sign off a certain way, the gun would have fired. After telling the police, the gun was examined and the partially rubbed off serial number was revealed. It was determined that the gun belonged to Paul Freshour, who had recently separated from Ron's sister. Paul was arrested and charged with attempted murder of his sister-in-law, and although he was never charged with writing the threatening letters, a handwriting expert testified that Paul was the letter writer. Paul proclaimed his innocence, but was found guilty and was convicted of attempted murder, being sentenced to 7 to 24 years in jail. But get this, whilst in prison, Paul and the residents of Circleville continued to receive letters. The letters were postmarked from Columbus, and Paul was in solitary confinement in Lima, but he was still suspected of writing them. In December 1990, Paul became eligible for parole, but it was denied due to the letters, even though there was no way that he could have been sending them. Interestingly, the letters stopped in 1994, the same year Paul was finally paroled, although he continued to maintain his innocence until his death in 2012. Over the years, many names have been put forward as potential suspects, including Gordon, Macy's son, and Paul's ex-wife and her boyfriend, although nothing has been proved. When Unsolved Mysteries covered the story, they received a postcard, apparently from the letter writer, that ominously read, "Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you Al Sickos will pay. Signed, the Circleville writer." Despite all the new names and theories to come forward, the police still maintain that Paul Freshour was the Circleville writer. Judging by the evidence we have, this seems somewhat unlikely, and some believe it's impossible, given the fact letters were still being sent when he was in prison. There are so many twists and turns in this case that we could probably do a whole video on it, but it seems there was a lot more going on in Circleville than just the letters. To date, the identity of the Circleville writer still remains unsolved. The Persian Princess. The Persian Princess, or Persian Mummy, is a mummy of an alleged Persian princess who surfaced in Pakistan in October 2000. After considerable attention and further investigation, the mummy proved to be an archaeological forgery and possibly a murder victim. In 2000, Pakistani authorities were alerted to a videotape recorded by Ali Akbar, in which he claimed to have a mummy for sale. Akbar was questioned by police and told them that the mummy was being kept at the home of tribal leader Wali Muhammad Riki in Karen, near the border of Afghanistan. Riki said he had acquired the mummy from an Iranian man who said he had found it after an earthquake. The mummy had been put up for sale by Akbar on the black antiques market for 600 million rupee, the equivalent of $11 million. Both Riki and Akbar were accused of violating the country's Antiquities Act, a charge which carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. The mummy was seized, and in a press conference on October 26, 2000, a Pakistani archaeologist announced that the mummy appeared to be a princess, dated circa 600 BC. The body was wrapped in ancient Egyptian style and was in a gilded wooden coffin, with cuneiform carvings inside a stone sarcophagus. The coffin had been carved with a large Faravahar image, and the mummy was resting on a layer of wax and honey, and had a golden crown on its brow. An inscription on the golden chestplate claimed that she was the relatively unknown daughter of a famous king. It was speculated that she might have been an Egyptian princess married to a Persian prince, or a daughter of the King Cyrus the Great. This was a very important find, and the governments of Iran and Pakistan soon began to argue about the ownership of the mummy. In November 2000, the mummy was placed on display in the National Museum of Pakistan. However, news of the Persian Princess prompted American archaeologist Oscar White Muscarelli to describe an incident the previous March, when he was shown photographs of a similar mummy that he suspected was a forgery, and he informed Interpol through the FBI. The curator of the National Museum of Pakistan was alerted about the forgery and did further studies of the Persian Princess, and a report was published on April 17, 2001. In it, it states that the Persian Princess was in fact a woman about 21 to 25 years of age who had died around 1996, possibly killed with a blunt instrument to the lower back pelvic region, and possibly hit by a vehicle from behind. Her teeth had been removed after death, and her hip joint, pelvis and backbone was damaged. Before, the body had been filled with powder. The mummy was a fake, and police began to investigate a possible murder and arrested a number of suspects. The Edhi Foundation, a Pakistani warfare organisation, took custody of the body and announced their intentions to bury the woman with proper burial rites. However, her body lay in a morgue for the next 3 years, until she was finally afforded a funeral in 2008. The woman has never been identified, and in death she went from being sought over as a Persian princess resting in a gold-plated coffin displayed in a national museum, to being the forgotten victim of a vicious murder after the whole thing was revealed as a hoax.